Have you ever felt invisible? Like no matter what you did, people just didn't notice you. What if you could use that to your advantage? The Turkish Netflix series Fatma looks at someone who's able to do just that. Fatma, an ordinary cleaning lady, commits an unexpected murder while searching for her missing husband. This first season introduces us to Fatma. She's got an extreme sadness that looks to just overwhelm her. She's downtrodden, nervous, and maybe a bit lost or even angry. We learn within the first few minutes of the show that she's looking for her husband, and she's pretty much alone in her search or her concern. The first episode, despite only being 42 minutes long, packs in a ton to really establish not only who Fatma is, but also what she's capable of doing. Burcu Biricik, I think that's how you pronounce her name, she really creates a complex character. Fatma is consumed with grief from many different sources, and that helps to make her timid, unsure, and unconfident, but also with a seething anger that's buried deep, and it threatens to come out. Biricik plays Fatma as someone who's almost buckling under the weight of their grief. I mean, we see it in her posture and mannerisms, but she also refuses to be crushed. She's driven to find the answers that she needs. The show does a good job of creating some decent tension through the situations that Fatma is placed in. It's also a bit frustrating to see how she's treated by just about everyone around her. Now, there are a couple of people that do end up seeing Fatma, which I think helps to keep her from fully descending into the darkness of her grief. This show works as both a mystery and a thriller. I mean, Fatma is trying to figure out where her husband is and why she can't find him. But that mystery only seems to be one that Fatma cares about. She's also thrust into participating with her husband's former boss in events that lead to all sorts of trouble. These moments provide a lot of excitement, thrills, and occasionally violence. Now, there are several unexpected moments in this, which I did appreciate. But then to contrast that, most of the episodes open with a teaser/spoiler for what's to come in that episode. I didn't need or want these. I mean, just let me watch the episode play out. I don't need a teaser for the episode, especially because I'm binging the show. One other frustrating point within the show is the use of flashbacks. Now, I don't mind that there are flashbacks, it's just in how some of them are executed. Fatma wears pretty much this exact same outfit throughout the show. I mean, her shirt or dress might change just a little bit, but she typically wears this drab overcoat and a paisley-type headscarf. So when a flashback would occur, there was no immediate clue that we'd moved to a scene that happened in the past. And this worked to just make me play catch up with the scene. For example, Fatma's cell phone starts ringing. She answers it and suddenly we're in a flashback. For a couple of minutes though into that scene, I had no idea. And this type of thing happens several times throughout the show. Now, the themes of grief and relationships play heavily throughout the story. There are tragedies in Fatma's life that work to really define her character, but they also shape her current motivations. Many times these two intertwine as well, which creates a lot of compelling drama. Fatma's relationship with her sister is complicated and strained, and I love the contrast between the two people. While Fatma is more drab and maybe more traditional, her sister is bright and modern. These characteristics also work to illustrate where they're at in life, especially in relation to their shared past. One is stuck and one has moved on, but are either better off than the other? The filming of this is beautiful. I mean, most of the time it feels very cinematic in the cinematography and not something that you just typically see in a TV show. Occasionally for the story, you have to go along though with some of the coincidences that are set up. These do work in the larger scheme because of how they've set up the character of Fatma. I mean, she's so inconspicuous that she can basically go unnoticed anywhere. And some of the situations are a little too convenient though. I mean, but somehow they still fit fairly well within the whole narrative, so they didn't bother me or break me out of what was going on. I liked the pacing of the show too. It was deliberate and patient as it grew the drama and suspense, but quick enough to keep the momentum and grow the tension. There's a little bit of good-natured humor in the show to help break up the dourness. It's not frequent, but it doesn't feel out of place either. Fatma cleans a house for an author, and some of their conversations are very sweet, and I like how the author sees Fatma as a person, and he's even an encouraging presence in her life. Now, this season is 6 episodes, with each of them right around that 40-minute mark. The tension and drama are good, but can become a bit oppressive as the show moves along. But we're also watching an emotional journey of a character who's trying to reconcile her grief on so many different fronts. Now, I'm not sure where the show is headed after this first season, but I was a little bummed by how it concludes. We get resolutions and answers to many of the story points, but then that conclusion just wasn't what I'd hoped. And that's not to say that it wasn't a fitting ending, because I think it actually fits really well within the narrative. I was personally just hoping for a different outcome. There's no sex or nudity, a bunch of profanity, and a lot of violence. I give Fatma 4 out of 5 couches. So are there any good dramatic thrillers you've seen recently? I'd love to know what you watched in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for couching with me.